Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast with your host, Funk Roberts.
Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast. This is episode number 181. I'm your host, Funk Roberts, and welcome to the episode. Today, in this episode, we're going to dive deep into one of the most critical and ignored issues facing men today, and that's emotional isolation. Right? Men over 40 are experiencing record-breaking levels of loneliness, of stress, of burnout, not to mention that type of stuff happening after a breakup, after maybe the loss of your wife or your partner, or perhaps after a divorce, right? And it's not just costing us mentally, it's destroying us. It's destroying our health. It's destroying our relationships with others. And it's also destroying our purpose. So in this episode, I'm really excited because I have Kavita Ajwani, who is one of the world's most trusted dating psychology and human behavior specialists. And after a decade of her running one of North America's largest speed dating companies, she now leads what's called Huddle 11 Elite. And Kavita is known for helping thousands of men break free from overthinking, from emotional suppression, and of course, from the fear of connection. Because that's generally what happens to us when we lose somebody or when someone leaves us. We have fear to connect. So I love this episode because we really dive deep into, what we can do, right? How we can navigate dating, how we can navigate relationships, and how we can do so with integrity and self-love. Now, when I say dating, obviously for us who are married, there's still a lot of things we can learn from this episode on how to continue to build that trust and lean on our wives or our partner. But if you have suffered a divorce, or you've lost your loved one, or you have broken up, maybe you've separated, or or you're getting back into the dating world, or you've never had anybody and you're now getting into it, this is a great episode because here we're going to talk not only about how to get back into dating, not only about tips and tricks and strategies, but we're also going to talk about how we need to connect with other men, connect with other people, because our isolation and emotional repression is fueling a ton of our health problems that we're having. And again, as I mentioned before, those health problems and that isolation and repression spills into our relationships or lack thereof, right? And it's devastating mentally, right? Specifically, if you've had a romantic rejection or a heartbreak at our age, because we haven't been dating or in the dating world for so long that we're lost. Like, there is no way I would know what to do if I lost Angela in some way and had to go back into the dating world. Like, I'd still be 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s dating, which doesn't work in today's world. So you're going to learn a lot today. You're going to learn a lot about how to navigate heartbreak, how to, lean into connection, and a whole bunch of other great things that Kavita will bring. Because here's the thing, Kavita brings a rare female lens. And the fact that she only helps men is incredible, right? This is the type of woman that every man needs in their corner, right? Because her mission is simple. She wants to help men redefine success by integrating love, connection, and emotional truth into their lives. So if you're a man in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you're listening to this right now, if you feel isolated, if you feel burnt out, if you're struggling in your relationships, if you're getting back in the dating world, then this conversation might be one of the most important ones you hear this year. Are you ready to get started? Enjoy the podcast. Welcome to this episode of the Over 40 Alpha Podcast. Today, we're going to dive into something that's really critical, but also ignored, specifically facing these issues facing men today, over 40, over 50, over 60, and that's emotional isolation and everything that comes with that, right? Men over 40, we're experiencing record-breaking levels of loneliness, of stress, of burnout, and it's not just costing us mentally, but it's also destroying our health, it's destroying our relationships, and of course, it's destroying our purpose. So today, I'm super excited because I have Kavita Ajwani, one of the world's most trusted and talented dating psychologists and human behavioral specialists, and after a decade of running her her own large speed dating company and now leading Huddle 11 Elite. Kavita is known to helping many thousands and thousands of men overcome and break free from overthinking, emotional suppression, and of course, the fear of connection. So Kavita, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I feel like it was such a beautiful intro, and then we're also talking about such a heavy topic, but it's important, and I'm thrilled to have this space to talk to you, and let's dive in.
Yeah, let's go. So how did you first let's back up, and how did you become such a specialist and an expert helping men with these struggles?
Dating is a huge area of our life, relationships. People often put this on the back burner for many years, and we focus on our health, we focus on our careers, money, wealth, and dating and finding a partner can often fall to the side. I've been doing this for 13 years, and the truth is that when I got into this space, I did not know all of the different areas that are so important to dive into. But I've been doing this for 13 years. I started as a speed dating host in my early 20s. And who would have thought that this was going to be my path and calling? So I've been in every crevice and corner of the dating world, speed dating, matchmaking, coaching men, coaching women. And here I am finally in my zone of genius, which is helping men in particular find love, find confidence, and create an abundant dating life, often for the first time ever.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, for the people, guys listening right now or watching right now, you know, we're a little bit older, so we've probably gone through a lot of that dating thing. Some have, because some are married, and then some are getting back into the world of dating, whether it's a loss of a partner or whether it's, you know, divorce or separation or what have you. Now, the fact that you're working with men, did you find a pattern that was happening, maybe a pattern that was happening that wasn't getting solved or just kept coming up over and over again? Was that something that you were finding in your speed dating world?
Absolutely. The main issue was a lot of men getting advice from other men about what women think and about what women want. And a lot of this advice for men, like you said, who are divorced, starting to date again for the first time. And that's what I meant. When I say creating an abundant dating life for the first time, it can often be because you married the first person, your high school sweetheart, or you've just been in a relationship for so many years that today's dating scene can feel like a completely different landscape. And it is. So this is really about coming back into the space, thinking, how do I do this now? And do you really have the support and perspective that you need to do this successfully? And what was very naturally happening in my world as a female dating coach and having so many men in my space due to the types of services I was running, the events and so forth, a lot of men were asking me for advice all the time. And what do I do? I'm not feeling good. They often didn't have a vulnerable, safe space to open up about their fears and insecurities around dating.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me, and it's kind of common because not only are men guarded in that way, and not only do men not feel like there's a safe place, but they're just safe place in general to talk about any of our vulnerabilities, whether it is relationships, whether it's, you know, our work life, whether it's health. Like, guys kind of like just shell up because they feel like it's a weakness, right? They feel like it's going to be weak if I talk to my buddies, even closest friends. Sometimes they're afraid to talk to. And,
exactly.
And then taking advice from other guys is literally the worst advice. Specifically, you know, it's so funny because I'll watch like other podcast episodes or like other podcasts, right, for men. And there'll be guys who have been divorced or guys who are separated, and they're giving advice right now. Yes, they're probably giving advice from the mistakes that they made, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have learned the you know, the better way or better advice to give. So it's really weird that happens.
one thing I'll say, like for this demographic in particular, your surroundings, either you don't really have the support group or support system that you need for guidance. That's one thing. The other problem is that many men 40 plus who are even in a happy and healthy marriage, if you've been in that marriage for many, many years, you don't really know what it's like to be out there dating today. So some of the worst advice ever is just go out there and be yourself. And I know that can be so typical, but when you have no idea how to be yourself and what that actually looks like anymore when you're connecting with new people, and how do I be myself on a dating app? I've never done this before. That can be a challenging process, especially when you're in a vulnerable state, because you can retreat at the first sign of rejection, for example, and that can just cause you to say, I'm not doing this. This is too hard. Dating apps will never be my thing.
Yeah, and that's generally the the reaction, right? Like you try and it's just too frustrating. Like I never went through dating apps, right? Like I'm 56 years old and I met my wife 15 years ago. So we got married like a year. And before that, I was like, I'm never getting married. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to get married because, you go to clubs, you go to bars. It wasn't very difficult to pick up women or just talk to women. I never had a problem doing that. Even getting shut down, I never had a problem with it. Like, okay, fine, we'll go to the next one, right? But that was the scene 15 years ago, right? Like I know dating online was very new. It was very, very new. And for me, it was just like, man, it's just too much work. You got to go in, you got to look at the person. It's like, this too much, man. I'm just going to go out to the bar or to a club and talk to women face to face, right? So that was really where we were at 15 years ago, but it's completely changed. Like literally it's a brand new landscape that like, even if someone came up to me and asked me right now about that, I'm like, I have no clue, buddy. Like, I don't even know where to start. And I think that's also another hurdle for guys, right? Because it is completely different, even if we're ready. Like, let's say, like divorced, I'm back and now I'm in good shape and I'm finally getting over this. Now what? Right?
So the first steps, it really depends on your starting point. So if you are someone who is divorced and you are now figuring out who is this new version of me? Who have I become? I would typically not recommend diving right into the apps and starting to hit the bars. You really want to be gentle with yourself without getting complacent. So starting to ask yourself those reflective questions of, what do I really stand for? What do I really want? What do I want my dating experiences to feel like? Do I want a relationship, or am I comfortable meeting women, making new friends? That's where I typically start with new clients. And that has to be one of the biggest misconception men have about a dating coach, because I will get inquiries of people asking me something like, this all sounds great. I'll reach out when I'm ready to date. And I'm like, this is actually not about being ready to date. It's about getting you ready to date. And that is doing the reflection questions. It's doing some of the deeper work. It's understanding what's really going on here. Am I really ready? What are the best first steps so that I don't wear my heart on my sleeve, immediately romanticize the next relationship, and go down a slippery slope that would, again, actually cause you to take several steps back. So these are the kinds of conversations that, we would have in the beginning to decide, how do we want to navigate this? What can we do that's going to make it feel really good and sustainable?
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts on like the fear and the failure? So for instance, if you've been married for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and something happens, wife leaves you, or, something, unfortunately happens to the relationship, a lot of times, we, men and women will carry a lot of guilt, a lot of, that was my fault, wasn't my fault. Even though they deflect it sometimes, blaming it on the other person, there's still that inner like, oh, that was my fault. And then there's a fear of not wanting to go through that again, right? Like, how does a guy overcome that, or at least take that first step to overcome the fact that, yeah, I failed here. I don't want to fail again. I don't want to cause harm to someone who I caused harm to before?
It's challenging, but it's being human. And one thing that I would love to offer anyone who's feeling that way is, as hard as it is, it's important to remember that what was doesn't have to be any evidence or indication of what can be. So it's going to be a process, and it's going to require you to very intentionally and actively choose to step up, to be better, to look at the dark side, to go into the shadows and figure out what went wrong here. Take responsibility. I'm a big believer in extreme ownership. Take responsibility for what happened. I would go as far as to say, even if you were the one that got cheated on, take responsibility, because the longer you play the blame game, the harder it is going to ever be to move forward. So how did I participate in this? And of course, therapy all the way. One of the questions I ask clients right away is, have you done the necessary healing? And nobody in my world is required to ever feel like, yeah, I've done it all and I'm great. No, healing is a process. I believe healing is a lifelong process. And I don't believe that you have to be quote unquote fully healed in order to enter a new relationship. In fact, I think entering a new relationship can be one of the most healing things. It exposes parts of you that may be very challenging to see when you're alone. So there is a period where you can face things on your own, and I think that's very important as well. But there is also something really beautiful of somebody holding a mirror up, essentially, and reflecting back the work that you have to do. Two people that can come together who are self-aware. And again, I would like to think, it's not always the case, but in this demographic, I would like to think that you're more evolved in your human experience and journey, and you have that self-awareness to say, we can come together. I know where my blind spots are. You know where yours are. We can figure this out.
Yeah. It's almost like creating a new identity for yourself, right? Because when the guys come into my program, like the Over 40 Alpha program, I give them a new identity, because their old identity before they came in was, I can't work out. Nutrition's too hard. I can't do this exercise. I'm out of shape. And so, I tried everything and nothing works. And so by giving them this new identity of an Over 40 Alpha, it allows them to disconnect. Now they have to step up to the plate and take on the beliefs, virtues, and, what it means to be that new identity, which is exciting for a lot of people sometimes, because it's like, okay, I can get rid of all of this. And now I'm a new person, 2.0. And this is what 2.0 does. And it's hard. Like you say, there's a lot of things that I have to get over and get through, and thinking and that sort of thing. But when that happens, it allows people to be more open to the new things, because they know that on the other side, it's going to be, they're going to get results, because everything else they did didn't work. So it's almost like an identity shift, maybe, right?
Absolutely. And it's very similar. We do similar work in that sense. It's coming in and saying, a lot of these beliefs are, well, I can't go start dating for the first time, or I can't start dating again. How do I navigate this? I don't feel confident. I don't feel good. I'll never be the guy that can just go up to a woman and land a date. I'm not that person. And of course, it begins with, first of all, understanding, why don't you believe that's possible for you? Getting into the nitty-gritty of that, and then laying out, again, the groundwork and the roadmap for a new path forward. But to your point, the most important thing is, as coaches, we can show up. We can only meet our clients as much as they're willing to meet us. I have all the tools to offer you, but if you're going to go home and eat pizza at the end of the day, well, there's not much I can do. So that willingness to say, yes, I'm willing to step up. I'm willing to look at things in a new way, and I'm willing to trust the process with somebody that I like and admire and trust. That is a beautiful starting point.
Yeah, I think everyone can be successful if they're open-minded to the new thing and willing to do the action. I think anyone can be successful. It's just having that willingness, and it's okay if you fail or fall down once in a while. Just getting back up and going forward would be ideal. So Let me ask you a question. Well, I started this off by saying, like, at this point in 2025, we're the loneliest, we're the most isolated, men over 40, 50, 60, 70. We lead the league in suicides, like successful suicides, something that we don't want to lead the league in. Why are men so isolated, even when we're so digitally connected? If you know what I mean.
Yeah. So loneliness in men is at epidemic levels for sure, with only 27% of men reporting like up to six close friends. This is down by 55% since 1995. So it's really soaring downwards. It's plummeting at a record pace. And there's about 15% of men today who are saying they have no close friends at all. So it is a problem. And coming back to this over 40 demographic, what can often happen, and you've heard this, which is men will often, after they get married, after they have kids, they will often start to take steps back from their social lives and they get comfortable. They can feel quite content with, a bit more of a routine. Their wife becomes their best friend, and women prioritize keeping their relationships intact, and they'll have their book clubs and they'll have their girls' nights. And that's something that comes very naturally to women. Whereas for men, it's going to require you to take an active role in keeping this area of your life moving and progressing.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. Even for me now, I'm starting something new where I'm a caller. I'm not a texter. I call people. I don't like texting back and forth. It's so annoying going back and forth texting. Like, I want to call you and just talk to me. Like, even with my wife, if she sends me two texts, it's like, oh, I'm calling, because I know that we're going to be sitting here all day texting each other. We started a new thing inside the Brotherhood where we have to call somebody who we haven't spoken to in a long time and just call them and just connect, because I have maybe one, like, best friend, I think, at the moment. Like, I have a lot of people that I connect with, but I don't have what my wife has, right? She has freaking women's weekends and, her girls' nights, and I don't have that, right? So that isolation, is felt, because I'm a very social person. What are there any steps that we can take? Like, I know that you said we have to be active, but do you know of any kind of, like, one or two or three things that we can kind of, okay, so great, I know I have to be active. What do I do? Because again, there's nothing here for me. Like, I don't even talk to my neighbor. I talk to my neighbors because I'm a neighborly person, but many guys don't talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm. So it's really important that the very first thing you do is you decide. You make a concrete decision and a commitment to doing this. I'm going to be more social, and this is why I'm going to be more social. Just the decision in itself is the most powerful move you can make without being really grounded in why you're doing this. It's going to, again, be very easy to let your old patterns take over. So that's number one. Number two, I always encourage the men who join my groups is we start with the small talk challenge. And this is over the course of your day, making it a point to start saying hello, start waving, start smiling at anybody and everybody. And that could include, this is going to sound funny, yourself. It is wild how many men are uncomfortable smiling. They don't even realize the energy that they are putting out into the world because they're walking around with a very stern look. They don't remember what it's like to smile. They don't smile in photos. They don't smile at people. And if you are feeling like nobody looks at you, nobody says hi to you, and that's what's making you more and more uncomfortable, you have to think, first of all, again, coming back to extreme ownership, you are going to reflect back the energy that you're putting out. So if you are a friendly, positive guy who's saying hello and saying, how are you? And opening the door for people, not just opening the door, but smiling as you open the door, right? And saying, got in? Are you good? Little connects, tiny connections goes a long way. And when you come home at the end of a day, where you are actively making conversation, even the smallest of small talk, it is going to feed your soul in ways that you have not felt in a long time, especially if you have been in that zone of keeping to yourself, head buried in your phone for years. So that would be part 2, is get those social muscles warmed up. Hopefully that, will resonate with your audience. And then the third thing is take a little bit of reflection time. You have the time now. So if you're out of your marriage and you're sitting at home on a Saturday morning, grab a cup of coffee, put on some jazz music, create an enjoyable vibe in your home, and then sit down and do a bit of reflection work. Think back to what were the activities and hobbies you used to love to do. Go back to your childhood. Was it kicking a ball around in a park? Was it playing game nights with your friends? These are things that you can recreate in different ways now. Did you used to like to draw? Did you used to love reading comic books? Go and pick up a comic book or order it on Amazon if you need to, but do those things that used to light you up many years ago and reconnect with that version of yourself, because it's amazing how that can help you connect to that next 2.0 version of yourself that you were looking to. Joy and feeling good will always be the catalyst to you making moves in your life and being able to keep up the momentum. That's where I would begin with those 3 steps.
Those are amazing. There's a lot of synergy between what you do and what I do and what we do in the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood. I love it. So you got to decide first, right? Make the decision. That was number 1, right?
Yes.
And then the small talk challenge. I'm gonna get to that in a second. That is absolutely incredible. I love the small talk challenge. And then reflection, like another thing that's huge. I just want to touch on the small talk challenge, because one of the things that makes my wife very, very uncomfortable is I talk to everybody. Like, if we go in, she knows if we're going into an elevator and there's 3 people in that elevator, all 3 people are, hey, how are you? How's it going? How's your day? I talk to everybody. I smile at everybody, because just like you said, you're giving so much of that energy out, and you're going to receive that energy back. Maybe not from that person, because a lot of times people get weirded out. Like, they're like, why is this person talking to me? And then as you continue that conversation or build that small talk muscle, right? Like I just do it all. I guess I've been like that for many years, but it just becomes second nature, and it does uplift a lot of people and does uplift yourself. So I love the small talk. I think that that's super, super important, because walking around nowadays, everyone's in like, head down, everyone seems like, they're just in bad moods. And I think it's just a lot of internal, a lot of stuff going on internally. And then the other thing, the reflection and doing things you used to do. In my program, one of the things I say is, I want you to like think about the activities that you used to do. Did you play soccer? Did you play hockey? Did you golf? What have you? And that's what we want to get back to. I want them to get back to doing things that they loved, all the activities that they love. So I like that. I love that. I love the small talk challenge and the reflection. That's amazing.
When it comes to working out, getting back into doing the things that we know innately that we are supposed to be doing. So working out, dating, we love to overcomplicate it. It's been so hard for so long that the idea of saying this can be easy just doesn't sit right with the ego, right? It's like, no, this has to be hard. Otherwise, I would be doing it. So we love to create this very complex, very challenging uphill battle around it. And that's why it can be interesting, but also still a little bit of, I really have to come around on this, because when you work with someone like yourself, or when a man comes and works with me, my whole philosophy is simplifying things down to their core. Like, what is going to be most effective, and what is going to make you feel your best, and what is going to make this sustainable. So how do we do things in a way where it feels very like easy, it feels natural to you as a human being? And that can be difficult to understand for someone who has been trying to make it very complex for so many years.
Yeah, that's why I think it's really important to have a coach like you. Like if you're if you're getting back in the dating world, or something that I want to just kind of talk to in a second, even for people who are married or who have been in relationships, right? Because this isn't just for people, this is just for guys who have been, went through a divorce or separation, or, maybe unfortunately, they may be a widower. Well, we have some of those in our group. This is a lot of these types of things, like isolation and, not being able to be vulnerable, happens to men who are married, or who have just lost all their kids. They become empty nesters, like they're called empty nesters, right? Like they had a purpose before because they had the kids, they had all this happening, and now everyone's gone. It's just them and their wife, and maybe their wife is going to get, fit, hanging out with her girlfriends. And, as a guy, you're not really paying attention to that when you're focusing on, I got my career, I got my kids. Yeah, my wife's there and everything's going great. Okay, honey, yeah, you go out with your girls. And then, okay, kids, we'll take you here. And then all of a sudden, kids are gone. They're in university. Wife's still doing what she's doing, and you're sitting at home. Again, that same pattern of isolation happens. So let me ask you about vulnerability, because coming to work with somebody, I think, is extremely important, but that means that these guys have to be vulnerable. And whether they're single because of, divorce or what have you, or whether they're still married and just feel like they're single. Sometimes you can be married and feel like you're single, because of the communication. What's your thoughts on vulnerability, specifically as a strength as opposed to a weakness?
Mm-hmm. I would want to start with something like, think about the people that you look up to the most. Think about the athletes in the world. Think about the leaders in the world, the men that have really made it. And ask yourself honestly, did they do it alone? And you will see the Barack Obamas and the Michael Jordans and the Tom Bradys, like they openly talk about the importance of being coachable, being vulnerable, being willing to learn. Asking for help is a superpower. And it makes me think of the man who is driving around in circles and won't ask for direction, right? And think about that visual. You are staying stuck in a circle, going in circles, and you will never get to where you want to go until you finally put your ego aside and say, maybe someone can help me out here and point me in the right direction. That is the beauty of mentorship, and that is the beauty of having a coach, a therapist, someone to guide you out of the dark. We are also living at a time, coming back to the idea of we are so digitally connected, we are living in such a beautiful time where mental health and awareness around it is at an all-time high, and men's groups are rising, the rising of men's groups, and really the understanding and there's so much information available to you to go and do your research. Because if your own limited beliefs are keeping you from stepping up and going out and getting the help, go educate yourself, right? Go open and expand your mind. Go do the research. See how having help, being in a men's group, having men supporting you is a catalyst for success in all areas of your life. And the men that I coach, like in my group, the Huddle 11 Elite, I am a female leader of a men's group. It's a completely new way of operating. And it in the world of dating, especially, it makes so much sense. You want to meet women. What are women thinking? What are women struggling with? How are they navigating the dating scene? What do I need to do to attract them? What am I not seeing? And to have a woman's perspective to come in and be like, here's what's going on. And it could take you years, if not a lifetime, to see those blind spots, because men and women are completely different creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's super important to have that person kind of guide you through and show you the way, right? As opposed to like, oh, I don't need help the whole time. Like the one thing I've learned about men versus, okay, I'll just say the one thing I've learned about men is that all you really have to do when they're willing is give them the roadmap and they'll follow it, right? keep them on board. But I know, like, I've trained. The reason why I don't train women is because it's a whole different thing. It's more emotional, and it's up and down. It's all over the place. That's not me. I can't deal with that. I need someone who is, when they're ready, because it's not saying that it doesn't happen with men too, but they're more open once they've said, okay, look, I'm willing to do this. And then you give them the roadmap. They're willing to ask questions along that roadmap. They're along the journey. They're willing to keep asking. Like, I got a guy right now in the Brotherhood, big up, like, he always asks questions. Always. Actually, I'm going to talk to you about two guys. One person, Mitch, big up to Mitch. I love you, Mitch. Mitch used to ask a ton of questions all the time. Just when he started, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, always asking questions. And then all of a sudden it stopped. And I'm like, oh, why does it stop? And then I see his before and after pic, right? How it's like, oh, okay, that's probably why it stopped, because he gets it. I have somebody right now who's in that same thing. He's asking questions, putting up hands. Okay, what do I do? How's this? And we're starting to see that kind of transformation. And I think it's because when they're ready and willing, then they're ready and willing, and they're going to ask those questions, and they're going to be coachable, right? You said something about being coachable. And I think that's really important for us guys to kind of, whether it's in business, whether it's in fitness, but also in the dating world or in the relationship world too. Because again, I have a lot of men who are still married or what have you, and it's a relationship breakdown that they may be having at home too, right?
Well, it's really beautiful because when you're going to be in a relationship, it's the same thing. You, in a way, need to be coachable, both of you. You need to be willing to hear each other out. You need to be willing to change, not someone trying to change you, but you need to be willing to grow for the relationship, have difficult conversations. So when you start coaching, and especially with the dynamic of a man and woman, you actually start to feel what that partnership can be like in a very healthy way. So having the support of a woman, that dynamic, I like to tell my clients, like, I'm going to be the girl in your corner until we find the right woman to come in and take my spot. And in the meantime, to have someone to hold your hand through the process. And again, a very safe space where you can feel really welcome and comfortable to share what's really going on and share your deepest fears. What a gift to be able to offer men something like that. It's truly my calling, and I'm grateful for the work I do. And to your point, I love working with men because, yes, at a point it does become quite simplified and black and white, and they're very like, is this a step or is this a step? And then we navigate those things together. I've worked with women for many, many years. I mean, I have the best girlfriends in the world. I know that world. I know that scene. I am a woman myself, so I get it. And, I do love I do love to be involved in the way a man thinks. And I love to help him see and understand the way a woman thinks and what it's like to tap into your feminine energy and what that means, and actually slowing down and doing the meditation and the breathing. Like, these are all elements to my programs, and often the men I work with have never experienced those things.
Let me ask you a question. Is your program online, or do you work face to face? Like, is this an online thing where guys kind of sign up and then they're doing it with you, but then maybe there's other people as well? Is that what this is?
Yeah. So I do private coaching where I work with clients one-on-one. My clients are all over the world, but my main program that we were chatting about, Huddle 11 Elite, it is a group coaching program. So I run the group. We do live coaching calls weekly. I have a massive library of dating blueprints. So this is everything I've ever taught about approaching women, self-confidence, dating apps, limited beliefs, the hero's journey, goal setting, everything is there. Live coaching every week though. And then we also have a group chat where everybody is conversing. The men are always supporting each other. They're dropping their wins. They're like, I didn't land the second date, and they're like, no worries, we're going to get it next time. And then sometimes they're like, guys, I just landed a date with this girl. They'll send screenshots. They get into relationships and they're sending pictures with their new girlfriends, and they're still in the program. That's what's been amazing and very eye-opening for me, is when I started this, I thought, well, you come into the program, you get a girlfriend, and you leave. And these men are not leaving because what we realized, one thing, it's easy to get the girl. It's not as easy to keep the girl. So once you figure out, okay, yes, I can follow Kavita's methodologies and philosophies, I can date. Now we're entering that next level of, oh, okay, my insecurities are being tested here. They're being amplified. I'm having conversations that I've never had before. And I have to communicate at a level I'm not clear on. And I guide the men through all of that. So where my specialty lies is really in early stage dating and getting you to that point in the relationship where you feel really at ease and confident to continue moving the relationship forward.
Let me ask you a question. How does that make you feel? Like I want you to step back, and I want you to just close your eyes and think in turn, like, how does it make you feel when you log into whatever that platform is and you see, I just got this date, or, oh man, I didn't get this date. And you see the swarm of positivity and like, you know what, that's okay, you'll get the next one. Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. Thank you for having me take a step back and really feel into it, because it's full body chills and it lights me up. And I was recently speaking to my partner, so my boyfriend and my business partner, and we were talking about who our demographic is and what we want to focus on. And I was telling him, helping men who sometimes, and I'll be really honest here, can't necessarily afford my programs financially, or they'll be like, this is a big investment. And it can be easy to switch over or think like, well, we can help men that maybe are more further along in their careers, are not struggling as much with dating, but they want to date even higher quality women. There's a big demographic for that. That is mostly my private coaching clients. They don't really struggle to meet women, but they don't struggle to meet women, but they are struggling to meet the right woman. They want more quality, more abundance. That's amazing. And I love helping them. But where my heart lies is in the 30-year-old virgin and the 37-year-old guy who's never been in a relationship before, and the, student who is still figuring out school, and he's, maybe 26 years old and he's never been on a first date. So when I see these men, even though it's extended payment plans are more challenging sometimes to figure out how to get them on board, their success and seeing them have a girlfriend, seeing them have a woman ask them out, seeing their confidence rise it's more than I could ever ask for. And those are the men that I want to work with. So I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can help you on that too. I'll help you after we're done. I can help you. I can give you a little bit of guidance that may help. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always open.
So let's talk about heartbreak, because I read something about you talking about heartbreak and cortisol. Like let's talk about what heartbreak does in whatever way that heartbreak is in a relationship, what it does to your health.
Oh, heartbreak. Brutal. There are so many self-sabotaging patterns that could stem from heartbreak for many people. And it can also be a catalyst for so much beauty in your life. It's really going to depend on how you choose to see it, how you choose to take care of yourself, and coming back to that idea of making a decision. No one's saying, hey, get up, man up, and go out. No, nobody's saying that. But take the time with the self-awareness of there's going to be a point where the sitting back and, self-wallowing and self-pity is not going to serve you anymore. There is a period where it's good. Go, slow down, because your heart, you are physically not ready to just jump back into things. And there are people with terrible patterns of breakup, jumping back in, and they get caught in that same cycle of the hamster wheel. So that is not the way we want to approach it. One thing I'll say is that we have this tendency to believe that when we break up with someone, the love dies. It goes away. And now I have to start over. And that's just not true. The love in a relationship, it lives on. And you can enter your next relationship, and all that love that you're carrying and you have the capacity for is still there. So I'm not a believer necessarily in just because the last relationship took you 2 years doesn't mean the next relationship has to also take you 2 years to propose. In fact, it's possible if you are self-aware, doing the healing, doing the work, and healthy, it's very possible that you can actually accelerate the next relationship and be ready to propose, for example, in 1 year, because this love is alive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I didn't come off of a breakup. I actually, when I met my wife, like I said, I wasn't even like the word marriage wasn't even in my vocabulary. And when I met her, that night when I met her, literally in the phone, I put in future wife. Like that's what I put in my phone because I knew right off the bat that, and then I think 6 months later, I asked her to marry me. And 1 year later, we got married. But, one of the things that I find when people get like rejected, right? Because then there's that whole rejection thing. That's the other thing men are scared of, like the rejection. But the more rejection, or the more men think about rejection, that affects their brain, it affects their body, affects their hormones, right? And they start to like, do you ever come across that in your coaching?
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest blockers. So when men come to me, it's like, what's going on? Where are the biggest struggles? And it's fear of rejection. So men are literally stopped in their tracks, frozen in place, cannot approach the woman, or scared to ask for the second date, or scared to make any sort of move. It's very present. What I want to offer, and it may not be very exciting to hear, the truth is, emotional resiliency is going to be your biggest catalyst for success in your love life. Rejection doesn't stop because you found a girlfriend. Rejection doesn't stop because you have a wife. You can very much be in a relationship or married and feel rejected by your partner. This is something that you need to work on at a core level, why you have these feelings and what triggers them outside of the realm of dating. So it's just important to remember this is not just a dating thing. This is a you thing. And we have a tendency to believe that as soon as I'm in a relationship, all my insecurities are going to go away. My confidence is going to skyrocket. And it's just not the truth. As I said before, it's actually a relationship and being in close proximity with another person who's going to really is a mirror holding up to you everything that you are and think and do. That is going to amplify your insecurities. That is going to amplify the way you feel about yourself. So doing the work starts now, and it doesn't end.
Right, yeah. Even like I find, so my sister, she I don't know if she's still on dating apps. I guess she still is, but she would show me the guys who she would show me the guys that she would have to go through, right? And it's pathetic when you look at the pictures and the way they take their pictures and what they look like and the lack of pride. Like, men say they have pride, but saying you have pride or saying that you have one thing, but then the way you present yourself is totally the opposite. Like, how important is that, the look, like physically? And I think it's a little less important as we get older, because I find that my sister, she's a little bit like, she'd be like, oh, he looks like he's okay. And I'm like, are you kidding? He's a troll. What is wrong with you? Like, that's how I look at it, because I look at her and say, no, you deserve the best. And I'm looking at these guys, and she's older than I am. I'm like, nah, man, specifically if you're that age and you're still looking like that. So how important is the way you present yourself? Don't have to be good looking, but the way you present yourself when it comes to that dating on the app or even in real life.
You nailed it. I love the word that you used. Pride. Where is the pride? And if you're going to throw up your dating profile with dark photos in the bathroom and pictures that have been sitting in your phone since 2010, it comes back to what I was saying earlier about if you are out in the world and you're kind of upset that nobody's paying attention to you, nobody's smiling at you, nobody's looking at you, think about how you are showing up in the world. So again, feedback, it's all feedback. Everything that is coming at you, the way people react to you, the way people look at you, your lack of matches on a dating app, it is all feedback. So you can point the finger and play the blame game and say dating apps suck and women aren't serious and dating is hard. But all of this is feedback. And if you want to move forward, and if you are a man who claims to have a growth mindset, it is such a blessing to have such clear feedback. So on a dating app, you need to show up as the man that you want to be seen as. So look at your profile. You want to talk dating apps? I can go all day, but look at your profile and ask yourself this question. Would the kind of woman that I want to be with be excited about going on a date with me?
No.
Okay.
The answer is no. Listen, I'm cutting to the chase, man. Guys, like, please take pride in yourself. Come on. Come on.
The answer is 99% of the time, no.
We're no more fluffing around here. We're going right in because the hard truth, right? It's the hard truth that a lot of men need to hear is like, you can't take pictures every time I'm going to go back to my program. We have something called sweaty selfies. Okay. Sweaty selfies after a workout, we take our sweaty selfies to show, hey, we took a workout, and it's good because we get to see each other, right? There are like 4 guys who never smile. And I'm just like, ugh. And then there's the 10 guys who always smile. It's like, I love that smile. I'll even put in the comments, love that smile. And there's the other ones, just like that mug. What are you mugging, man? Who are you mugging? You're mugging yourself. So you know that there's something going on. You know there's something going on, right? Yeah. Sorry, I just went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell my clients in a similar boat, I'll be like, if you have so much trouble smiling. So we do this at the end of every coaching call. At the end, we always do like a group shot, a group picture. And I have some guys who are like literally peace sign, big smile as soon as it happens. And I have other guys who may have been smiling during the call and it immediately goes away. So one of the things I'll say is like, look, you don't know that you are not smiling. So some of these men will go on first dates. They will be on their A game. They've done everything right, quote unquote. They've chosen the restaurant. They've picked up the girl, perfect manners, and they won't get a second date because they don't realize that they did not smile once. And they are very unaware of their body language and the energy that's coming across through their expressions. And it's wild because I owned a matchmaking agency for 7 years. So I had this incredible inside scoop. After each date, I would get feedback. So if they wanted to see each other again. So I would get direct feedback on like, how did the person behave? What kind of energy came across? Were they late? Were they on time? So these men would come to me, for example, they'd be like, hey, I want to be a matchmaking client. Great. I'm amazing on dates. I don't know what's going on. I dress well. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Help me. I'm completely confused. And then we would send them out on dates and we would get this amazing list of feedback. And I would say, did you know that you didn't look at her the entire time? You were looking to the side. Did you know that you didn't smile one time? Did you know that you had your arms crossed the entire date? There are these signals that you are giving off. This is what I call about the blind spots, that if you don't have someone to come in and point out your blind spots, it can be a very confusing area of life to navigate. So that feedback was invaluable. And they were like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I didn't smile. And they were like shocked that the person didn't want a second date because they think they thought they were on their A game. They thought they did everything perfectly. And so I will encourage these clients as a starting point just to look in the mirror and smile at themselves. And even that is challenging.
I know. It is very challenging for most guys, for sure. Specifically if they're not a smiley, happy person, or things are happening in their life that's not going the way they want to. It's very difficult for men to smile. That's man, you just blew my mind there, because when you just said they don't even realize that they're doing it, that pretty much makes sense, because maybe those guys who are posting those pics like that don't realize that they're not smiling, right? Like, yes, I know they just finished the workout. I get it. But like, there's the other side of the coin where people are always smiling, right? After the workout, like, it's just done. You know, oh my God, my workout's done. Thank God. Right. Let me ask you another question, Kavita. Let me ask you about dating TV shows, because my wife and I will jump on a few shows that we'll watch, 90 Day Fiance, the first three. I'll watch the first three episodes of The Bachelor, because we just cut everybody up and laugh and scream, and then she gets into it. But if you're getting back into the dating world, would you suggest those shows would be something to just kind of look to see like what to do, maybe some things and what not to do? Like, what are your thoughts on like, as a way to research?
I would recommend not doing that. It's really important that when you think about fitness, it is so important that if you want to start taking your nutrition seriously, you want to get back into shape, that you are discerning about the information that you take in, because there is a lot out there. And you can injure yourself. You can wind up in situations that are unhealthy. You can end up doing bad diets. You can just end up in a space that is not actually going to make you any healthier. So it's very important that there's a lot of toxic dating information about how to treat women, how you need to show up, treat women badly, act like you don't care, these techniques that are really a lot about playing games. It's just not the work that I do. And I would recommend being quite careful about what you're going to take in, and make sure that it is from people and places that really align with your values first and foremost, and where you ultimately want to go in your dating life.
I love that, man. You said that everything you're saying now makes me feel comfortable. If anyone is getting back into the dating world, or just maybe relationships or what have you, to definitely come to you as a coach and your group, and signing up and getting the coaching and the guidance. And it sounds like you're very loving too. You give the love that maybe some men are missing. The love in a way that, like, I'm like a loving sister or a loving, mother or a loving coach who can give a lot of the things that men do need, because sometimes we need to pull from external love sometimes and kind of like take a little bit. Okay. Okay. Right. And then, okay, I got that a little bit of that energy, and then it kind of ignites the love that's been kind of dissipating inside. Right.
Absolutely. And I do have a little special offer for your audience,
Yeah,
for
please.
anyone who is like, no idea where to start, no idea what this world is even about. If you're open to it, I have one of my master classes. It's pre-recorded. It's 2 sessions. One is on nice guy syndrome, which is very common. And the other is on approaching women, my ultimate guide to approaching women. So it's a 2-part master class. It normally sells on my website, but I would love to offer it to your audience for free.
Please. Yes.
And it's called To Be Desired. It's amazing. And anyone who DMs me on Instagram, so my handle is @dashingdate. And anybody who DMs me your name, so just Funk Roberts,
Okay.
I'd be happy to send over the masterclass for free.
Okay. You guys heard that. We'll put that in the link. We'll put that in this right here. You'll see it up there, @dashingdate. Say the word Funk Roberts and get that. I will send an email out as well with this to my email list for that as well. Leave us with something valuable that we can take home, something actionable that we can take home and try or do that you'd love to give to people listening, the guys that are listening.
There is a quote that is very powerful, and it's small, and I think it's important sometimes to remember, just coming back to what we were saying earlier. keeping things simple will often be some of the things that really moves mountains. And I'm going to come back to this idea of smiling. So there's a quote, and it's, sometimes your joy can be the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. And just remembering how powerful your smile actually is, because it can create joy in yourself and in others. And it's a very powerful, very free action that is in you, living in you, and waiting to come out.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Guys, you got to smile all day long as much as possible, even when you don't. Just practice smiling until it becomes second nature. Thank you so much, Kavita, for being on the podcast. And guys, remember, at Dashing Date, put the word Funk Roberts, get that masterclass. 2 sessions, absolutely free. Know what it means to be the nice guy, and of course, how to approach women. And it's not just about approaching women for dating. I'm sure this could be a way to approach women in general, so you know how to talk to the opposite sex in a 2025 environment. So thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.